My guest today, chef and winner of Top Chef Masters, Floyd Cardoz, is an incredibly accomplished chef. He was born in Bombay and trained as a biochemist before he discovered where his true talents lay, in the heart of a restaurant kitchen. Today we're cooking up 3 flavorful Indian comfort foods, starting with a wild striped bass curry that brings together garlic, spices, and coconut. Chicken pilaf is up next, making the most of one of my favorite ingredients, chicken thighs that cook in a spicy broth. And finally, beef kebabs with a clever technique you'll want to know. It's Indian comfort food today on Sara's Weeknight Meals. Funding provided by...
At Subaru, we build vehicles like the versatile Subaru Outback with symmetrical all-wheel drive standard and plenty of cargo room. Because some of the most adventurous days fall in between the weekends. Subaru, a proud sponsor of Sara's Weeknight Meals.
Acacia Vineyard is proud to sponsor Sara's Weeknight Meals. With our handcrafted Chardonnay and Pinot Noir wines, we enjoy sharing the Earth's bounty and the simple joy of bringing friends and family to the table.
My mom, she's a magician. She turns water into soda, saving the planet from bottles.
SodaStream, proud to support the magic of public television.
King Arthur Flour, over 1,500 recipes online at kingarthurflour.com.
Italy was so good. It was just such a relaxed time. I think every chef should go to Italy.
And the food was just extraordinary.
Just so much fun.
Wow. Hi, I'm Sara Moulton. Welcome to Sara's Weeknight Meals. You know, I love Indian food. The husband and I use it as our go-to when we're tired of the usual suspects. Making it at home, especially for weeknight meals, easy, and especially when you have the help of my good buddy, Floyd Cardoz. I'm so happy you're here.
Hey, Sara.
Let's start with the first recipe. What are we making?
Okay, the first thing we're going to do is a dish that my grandmother made, that my mom made, and that I make for my kids when they were younger, because it's an introduction to Indian spices, very mildly spiced.
Okay.
And you could make it hot or not, but it's a curry of striped bass, and it's got some vegetables in there with the cauliflower.
So it's healthy too.
So it's healthy because most kids don't like to eat vegetables, so we added in the curry.
Just snuck them in there.
Yeah.
I'll get going down here. I know you want me to start on the spice mix.
That's right. You're using unsweetened coconut and garlic.
Okay, so 1/2 cup of unsweetened coconut, and I'm going to make a paste in this blender. And what are you doing down there?
I'm actually seasoning the fish with salt.
You're going to pop it in the fridge while that happens?
After you season it, just pop it in the fridge till we're ready for it.
And I'm going to add 6 garlic cloves, just peeled.
You know, the other element in this curry is sliced onions. So we're going to take white onions. I'm going to slice them really, really thin, and I'm going to saute them in a little bit of oil. Should
I add just a tiny bit of water so this...
I would start adding a little bit of water first.
Just a tiny, tiny bit.
Don't put too much, because if you have too much, it's not gonna grind very well.
Paste. But we're just using the water to help it to grind up. Okay.
So I'm gonna add a little bit of canola oil. And I'm gonna add my sliced onions into the pot. I'm gonna heat the pot up slightly, not too hot, because I don't want the color in there. You know, good food takes time.
It's beginning to look like something. You could have done this with fresh grated coconut too, but no home cook in their right mind is going to do that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The main thing is don't use that sweetened stuff, because this is not a dessert. So we're going to add 2 tablespoons of cumin and 2 teaspoons of turmeric. Wait a second, we have to pause for a second. What is that chili called?
It's called a Khalistan chili.
Khalistan.
But they're called finger hearts. At Asian stores, they're called just chili peppers. I prefer these to jalapenos because they have a very nice aroma.
Oh, yeah. It's so much more than just...
It's floral almost.
Yeah. I love chilies. You're going to leave the seeds and ribs and everything in?
I like to leave everything in, but if you don't like your food too spicy...
I love spicy.
Go ahead and take them out.
Yeah, but...
You know, and obviously, if you can't get these chili peppers, you can always use a jalapeno.
I've got the turmeric and cumin in here, and I'm going to add some black pepper. But while I'm adding that, can you just talk to me about cumin and turmeric? I know turmeric is used a lot for its coloring ability. I mean, look at it. It's bright yellow there.
It's a beautiful spice, but the other thing about turmeric is an amazing antioxidant.
Oh.
It's an antibiotic.
Oh.
So if you have, in India, if you have a cut, you would put a little bit of turmeric on your skin. If you have a sore throat, you'd gargle with a little bit of turmeric in warm water. It's a great spice. So you're gonna add the chili peppers in there.
Should I add the spice mix now? The paste?
Let's go with that in there.
Okay.
So what you're gonna do now is you're gonna cook this out about 3 or 4 minutes on moderate heat till you get
this sort of brings the spices
together and you lose some of that raw spice. You also try to get the essential oils that every spice has into your curry.
Okay.
In the meantime, I'm gonna cut some cauliflower.
Okay.
And I'd like you to cut some zucchini.
Okay. Well, do you want me to have them first? Do you have to?
Yeah, let's have them.
And we're going to add some fish stock to this in a minute. All right, should I grab the fish stock for you?
Yes.
Okay, because boy, that is smelling so wonderful. You want me to pour this in?
We can go right in right
Okay, and I think that's about 5 cups. Ooh, I'm smelling the chilies too.
And I'm gonna add a little bit more salt in there.
So.
I'm gonna cover this so that it kind of comes up pretty quickly.
Now, meanwhile, you're cutting up the cauliflower. I love cauliflower. It's so healthy. It's like broccoli. It's come up to a simmer, so we're going to just take the lid off and let it simmer for 15 minutes. Right?
Yep, that's
so
it.
Meanwhile, why don't we go over and take a little look at your book and have a glass of wine?
That would be a great idea.
What do you think? Okay. Are these mostly home-cooked recipes?
Most of my dishes start off some way, shape, or form at home. I find that when you cook, it's about coming from your heart.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just creating stuff for the sake of it.
So why don't we go take a look and see how it's doing? So it's been about 15 minutes. Is it reduced enough?
Yeah, it's looking nice. We gotta get our coconut milk together.
Okay, should I add the whole thing?
Add the whole thing.
Whole can goes in.
Whole can goes in.
Okay. Ooh, that looks so delicious already.
And then as soon as it comes up, we're gonna add the fish in. You know, the other thing you don't want to do is if you want it to come up, normally you say you should put your lid on, it'll come up faster. But with coconut milk, you don't want to do that.
Oh, okay.
We don't want to make a mistake with the coconut milk.
There's cider vinegar goes in there too?
Yeah.
So it sort of balances out the
sweetness.
Yeah, the creaminess. 2 teaspoons. 1,
That's
2.
it.
There we go.
So I'm gonna add the fish.
All right, and we're cooking it with the skin on.
I like to add the skin with fish because if you don't like to eat it, don't eat it. Because it gives the sauce or the curry a lot of body. So we have the fish that is already seasoned.
Everything goes in one pot.
One pot. So I'm going to move this to the back.
Okay.
And continue cooking.
What temp do we want it at?
You know, we want it to come up, and then we're going to turn it down.
Okay, so I'll put it on high for now.
Yeah. And the other thing you want to do is you don't want to stir it a lot right now because it breaks up.
Yes.
So once you put it in the pot, you just
touch it.
let it do its thing.
Let it do its thing.
Okay, so let's add the zucchini to the pan. It's nice and hot. We have some canola oil in there. And I'm going to add some salt.
Okay, again, season as you go, right? Don't wait till the end.
And pepper. So our zucchini looks kind of...
You want just a little color on it.
A little bit of color. And I'm going to start plating.
Oh, really? We're that close?
Yeah, we're that close. We're that close. So let's plate with some rice.
All right, and that's basmati rice?
Use basmati rice, or, you know, any other rice you like. Okay. Find the fish, go very, very gently because you don't want to break the fish.
We went to all this trouble to cook it gently.
Exactly.
Look at that beautiful color.
I like to do that. I like to put that on my rice and get a few pieces of cauliflower.
What part of India would you say?
My family's from Goa.
Oh, from Goa. Okay.
So this dish is from Goa.
Yeah. Okay.
And get a little bit of this in the plate.
So coconut milk is traditional in Goa.
Very, very traditional because it's on the coast. A lot of our dishes have coconut in there.
All righty. I'm so excited about the fish.
It's nice and silky. And
oh, it's perfectly cooked. Wow. Wild striped bass curry, deliciously different on a weeknight. I'm gonna have to have another bite.
Yeah, you know, no, thank you.
Weeknight Meals is taking you to India this week. No passport required, thanks to the help of my friend Floyd Cardoz. We're making Indian comfort foods, and his take up next is chicken pilaf, which is so appropriate because I am rice impaired. So we're going to start with the rice, right?
We're going to start with the rice, and I want you to use basmati rice. And it's a wonderful rice from the foothills of the Himalayas. It's a long grain rice. So what I like to do when I do basmati rice is I like to wash my rice.
Okay.
The rice in India is normally hand-picked, and it's not machined. So there's a lot of dirt and stuff in there. So you add cold water, always cold water.
Cold water.
And you want to kind of swish it around as much as possible.
It's quite cloudy.
It'll get very cloudy, and it could be from 7 to 15, 16 times, but you got to keep on doing it. Always use cold water because the hot water is going to break the rice.
So what you do is you put the cold water on top, you swirl it around, and then you strain off the water, and then you do it again, and again, and again, and again, and again, until it's clear. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you always want to agitate it. The more you agitate it, the faster it gets clear.
Okay.
There's also a fair amount of starch, and a good pilaf is when the grains are separate, and you can see them, so it's not all clumped up. Now we're going to let this soak for about 20 minutes in cold water.
Okay.
Now, while you cut your onions, I'm going to go get the chicken and season the chicken.
And you want this chopped fine?
Minced evenly, the same size.
Okay.
And with the chicken, I'm using thighs because I love thighs. They kind of work really, really well in this rice. And again, season it with salt really nicely because we're going to be adding it into a liquid. And if there's no salt in it, your whole chicken is going to come out pretty bland. So I have it nice and seasoned with salt. And I'm going to put it back in the fridge. And we have some typical spices that we use in pilafs.
What is pilaf, actually? Why don't you say
A
what
pilaf is a rice cooked by absorption method with the liquid. And it always has some amount of spice in there.
And it's...
and it's not drained out. You could use a rice cooker if you want, but I prefer doing it in a pot.
Okay.
Now, the other thing that I'm going to start doing is I'm going to add my coconut milk to my chicken stock.
Okay.
And I'm going to bring that up to a boil.
Okay.
I find that when you're doing rice and your liquid is hot, your rice cooks more evenly.
Okay.
We're going to cut the ginger into julienne, nice strips.
Okay.
I'm going to get the spices going in my pan. I'm going to add my canola oil to the pot.
And then you want me to mince a couple of garlic cloves?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to use half a stick of cinnamon.
Okay. All right,
So we have our cinnamon, we have our clove, and bay leaf. And I'm going to put that in the oil. And whenever you have spices, you want to bring them in oil. And you can see, Sarah, that the spices are beginning to sizzle and around. That's the oil extracting the flavor from the spices, which is what you want. Are you ready with your onion?
Yes.
So
let me get it on.
I'm going to put my cumin, and it's 1 teaspoon of cumin, right in there again. And you can see the cumin also is beginning to
toast
a little bit.
That's cumin seed.
Cumin seeds, whole cumin seeds. Now let's add our
Hang on,
our
more
onion.
more coming. Here we go.
And our bay leaf. And we're going to cook that till it's a little transparent.
So while we're doing this, I wanted to ask you about Top Chef. What was it like being the winner? Top Chef Masters.
When I went on to Top Chef Masters, obviously I'm not a very competitive person, so I went on to have fun, to hang out with other chefs. And when they asked me if I was going to win, I never ever picked myself. You know, it was a lot of fun because you get to see, you get to work with chefs. Like I got to work with Mary Sue Milliken.
I love her.
With Tracy Desjardins.
Yeah.
Really, really closely. And you really see how talented they are.
Yeah.
And you see that passion and that, you know, it was just so much of fun.
Do you want me to get these ready to come in? Do they come in together, the ginger and the
They
garlic?
do come in together.
All right, so I'm going to get them on the same bench scraper. So whenever you want to add them, there you go. That's the thing, you do have to have everything measured. It's a little bit like Chinese cooking, where you have to have all your mise en place done before you even start. Everything laid out, because it all goes in there so quickly.
And it's all so simple.
Right. Now, we're going to add our dried spices, but later. We have some coriander here, a tablespoon, and a teaspoon of turmeric. I'm just going to put them together because they go in. These get added later, correct? The whole spices go in the beginning?
Very, very good question.
Okay.
And what I've found is that very often you get recipes that call for toasting ground spices. Now, I think that's very hard to do because that burns easily. These are denser. These are going to take a lot more time to cook. So that's the reason why we're starting it in hot oil. Now, these are finer. Now, if I put that in hot oil, it's going to burn.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I put it after I put the onions, which have some moisture, in there, so it's not going to get...
Protects it.
Exactly.
We're
So now
all
the
gonna-
onion's almost transparent.
Okay.
We're going to add our ginger and garlic.
Okay, there we go.
And at this point, I'm going to add a little bit of salt.
Okay. Again, season as you go. Don't
Yeah,
wait till the
yeah.
end. Okay, so how long do we cook the ginger and garlic? We ready?
About 2 minutes, but before we do that, we got to drain our rice.
Okay.
And I'm going to get the chicken out of the fridge so it'll temper a little bit.
Okay, I'll drain the rice.
So our rice is nice. Let's add our spices in there,
Okay.
which is the coriander and the turmeric.
Turmeric, right?
And we're going to cook that briefly, maybe a minute.
Okay.
Now we're going to add the rice in there. And you want to stir it as gently as possible.
I noticed you're being very delicate.
Because I don't the rice, and what I like to do sometimes is use one of these, which is
the most
a
delicate.
lot gentler.
Yeah. Because you're trying not to break it because you want the grains to stay whole.
And then we're going to add our chicken in there. And kind of cook it for maybe 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay. You know, I have an important question to ask you. You didn't sear the chicken. You didn't brown it at all. You just threw it in there.
Indian cuisine, you don't normally sear any meat. You don't brown meat because it's braised for so long. I think when we sear meat in French cuisine, it's more for, you know, for the color.
Right.
And then when you're using turmeric and using chili, coriander, all the wonderful spices in India, you don't need the color because you have the color from the spice.
From the spices.
Now we're going to add our stock to that.
Wow.
And we're going to season it up with salt.
Okay. So now what happens?
Now we're going to cover it. And we're going to let it cook about 15 minutes. We're going to cut our cilantro. So what I do is I take the really thick stems off, and the thin stems
And just use the whole thing.
I cut it
That's
really,
great.
really fine.
Now, so this dish has both the coriander seed and the fresh coriander.
Yeah.
But they're so different in flavor, aren't they?
It's very, very different. The seed is very lemony and citrusy, whereas this is very earthy and some say soapy.
I know the anti-cilantro haters out there.
But I love it.
Yeah,
And you
that's
could put, if you have a ton of mint in your yard, you could also put mint in. Makes it really, really good.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna just kind of lightly mix it in. So it's still,
That smells so good right now. But we have to wait. How much longer do we have to
we
wait?
gotta let it sit for about 20 minutes, 25, 30 minutes, okay?
Okay.
I'm gonna cover it,
And what kind of heat again?
and I'm gonna turn the heat off. We're done.
Oh, you turn the heat off. Okay.
Because there's so much of rice and it's so dense, the heat is gonna continue to cook it.
Okay.
It's gonna absorb all the liquid that's in there,
Okay.
and when you're ready to eat, it'll be beautiful.
All right, so we should make the tomato salad while we're waiting. And it's tomato cucumbers? That's
Just
all?
tomato and cucumber, that's it. So we can add a little bit of lime juice.
And would this be a typical thing you would serve with a
It's
pilaf?
very typical. You would sometimes have yogurt with that,
Okay.
or you could put chili peppers in there if you want it spicier, cilantro, mint, salt.
Do you want pepper? I'm standing
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, definitely.
And olive oil. That's interesting. Olive oil is not Indian.
It's not, but what I like about olive oil, it adds a little complexity. It adds a little sweetness and fruitiness to Indian food.
Well, that looks great. Wow.
And then you just take a fork and lightly fluff it up.
That just smells amazing. That's it, huh?
And we're gonna remember to take out the cinnamon and the cloves.
Okay. Be gentle, right?
Very gentle.
I know this is like religion here. You have to be gentle with the rice. Wow.
It's so aromatic.
There we go. All right. Chicken pilaf, my idea of a perfect meal in a pot. Kebabs are a common street food in India, but I'm sure Floyd's kebabs are better than any street food in India, right?
I love kebabs.
Okay. But I'm a little confused. We're making these kebabs, but we're making burger kebabs?
That's a good way to call them. You get different kinds of kebabs in India. You get the kebabs that are skewered. You get the kebabs that which are like yakitori, which are done on charcoal. And you get kebabs that are done on a griddle, which are called shami kebabs. Now, this kebab is kind of a mix between a seekh kebab, which was a kebab on a skewer, and a shami kebab, which is a flattened one on a griddle. Okay. I've taken something from the north, I've taken something from my home. So it's
This is a Floyd kebab.
This is a Floyd kebab.
Okay, I got it. All right. So I'm grating 2 tablespoons of ginger, and we're working with jalapeno this time?
We're gonna use jalapeno. I also got some garlic.
Okay. And we need onion too, right? So I'm going to put the onion here. We have 2 cups of onion because I know you're dying to use my little tool here, my little bench scraper.
And we also have some ground beef.
You know, while you're chopping that, can I ask you about garam masala? Because that's going to be the spice mix that we're going to add. Can you tell us what is garam masala?
Okay, garam masala is one of the spice mixes that are very common to Indian food, especially in the north. And it's more of a finishing spice.
A finishing.
So you always add it towards the end, or you add it to something that you're going to cook very quickly. If you're making a braise, like a curry, you'll add it at the end. So we have a garlic.
And you want me to chop up some cilantro. Okay.
So I have my ground beef, add a little bit of salt, and we have the egg.
And pepper.
Did you put your garam masala in already?
We need about a half a tablespoon. Okay, I'm gonna just guesstimate. Should I mix this with my hands?
Oh, yeah.
All right, how does that look?
So now what we want to do is, this is what I normally say is, once you mix a kebab, you always want to see how it tastes.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. You're gonna cook it first?
Yeah.
That was like the drum roll. I was like, he's gonna stick that in his mouth. I do this all the time too with something I can't eat raw, so I make a test pilot.
I make a small test. So we're gonna take it out, it's kind of, and we're gonna taste it. You're gonna have a piece and I'm gonna have a piece.
Oh my goodness, that is delicious.
It's got some heat to it, but you could always put less chili. And we're gonna eat it with some yogurt, so that's gonna cool it.
Wow. Woo, that is yummy. Okay, so show me what's
Now
next.
what I'm gonna do is, this is the way I make my burgers at home, this is the way I make these kebabs at home. I make the meat into balls, like so. And you can make them as big as you like, okay? Once I have the balls, I take plastic wrap, and I make it into nice patties.
That's a good little tip.
And then I put this back in the fridge till I'm ready to cook them.
Was that about the right size?
You want to make it a little tighter.
Tighter. Okay, pack it. That was a hot jalapeno.
That was. And then we're going to take a little bit of oil and just lightly brush it.
Again, canola oil.
Lightly.
Theme of the day.
Yeah.
Okay, just a little bit so it doesn't stick.
Exactly. Just.
Yeah. So show me, what are our accompaniments here?
So we're going to serve this with, like every traditional kebab. We are going to do yogurt. And we're going to put a little bit of tomato on that, make like a raita, and lime juice. And I like to add a little bit of mint, add a little bit of...
Just whole mint leaves?
Just pick them and put them in. Add a little bit of ginger and spinach, just to make it a whole complete meal.
Okay, so we're just going to turn these in a few minutes, and then we can assemble everything, and we're going to eat outside in my garden.
That would be awesome.
Yes. So we've got Chardonnay here, but what would you recommend with Indian food?
You could have it with red wines, Shiraz, Merlot,
Anything
Cabernet.
goes.
Anything goes.
Yeah.
As long as it's not an old wine,
Yeah.
and as long as there's not too much of chili in there.
Yeah.
If there's a lot of chili, then I would say go with the Shiraz or a Zinfandel.
Okay.
These work very well.
All right. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming. I hope we've inspired you to travel to India during the week in your very own kitchen. I'm Sara Moulton here with Floyd Cardoz. I'll see you next time for more of Sara's Weeknight Meals. Let's dig in.
What I like to do is I like to add a little bit of lime on top.
Sara's Weeknight Meals continues online. For recipes, helpful tips, messages, and lots more, visit us on the web at saramoulton.com/weeknightmeals. Funding provided by
At Subaru, we build vehicles like the versatile Subaru Outback with symmetrical all-wheel drive standard and plenty of cargo room. Because some of the most adventurous days fall in between the weekends. Subaru, a proud sponsor of Sara's Weeknight Meals.
Acacia Vineyard is proud to sponsor Sara's Weeknight Meals. With our handcrafted Chardonnay and Pinot Noir wines, we enjoy sharing the earth's bounty and the simple joy of bringing friends and family to the table.
My mom, she's a magician. She turns water into soda, saving the planet from bottles.
SodaStream, proud to support the magic of public television.
King Arthur Flour. Over 1,500 recipes online at kingarthurflour.com.